I'm Jake, you're watching Gas Guzzlers, and this is the 2024 GMC Hummer EV. Let's get into it. But before we talk about this $106,000 super truck, a huge shout out to Kuhn Chevy Buick GMC here in Clarksville, Maryland, and especially Moose the Car Cowboy. Check him out on TikTok in the description below. Let's talk about the exterior of the GMC Hummer EV. First of all, the light bar looks absolutely incredible, but it doesn't just look cool, it's also functional. When you're charging the vehicle, the light bar is going to show you the state of charge so that you can see where the charge is from a far distance away. If you come down here and look at the tires, you're going to see there's a cutout in the bumper. That's going to give this vehicle a very aggressive 50-degree approach angle. I was just taking a look at the ZR2 Bison pickup truck from Chevrolet. That's a 32-degree approach angle. That's cute. We got a 50-degree approach angle here. 2 feet of water fording capability is okay for a vehicle of this size. But something that's even cooler than water fording, how about these tow hooks? They're absolutely massive, and they have to be. This vehicle weighs 9,000 pounds. We are a far ways away from the 1.5 ton pickups of old, but I've been holding the coolest feature for last. Watch this. You find your camera, right? Your front trail camera right here. Okay, there's a button. There's a button right above it. What does it do? You hit that button, you hear a beep. You're like, what's happening? Power frunk. And look how big this thing was. Automotive brands have been telling us frunks are dead, and I've just accepted it. But no, General Motors is showing us the frunk is alive and well. This is a huge amount of space. Now, some improvements for the next Hummer EV. How about we see this become drainable? And while there is 12-volt power here, a full-size power outlet would really make this a great tailgating machine. But you know what? Overall, General Motors, I applaud you for giving us this wonderful frunk. Okay. I called it a frunk, and someone came through and shoved me in here and told me it's actually called an E-trunk and told me to get my facts straight. I'm very sorry to the goons who came and shoved me into the E-trunk of the Hummer. It's not very comfy in there, so make sure to call it an E-trunk if you don't want to suffer a similar fate. Here at the side of the GMC Hummer EV, it has a 126-inch wheelbase. That is big, but it's 9 inches shorter than the pickup truck brother of this vehicle. And this is only a 2-row SUV, so you actually have a rather short vehicle here for being 9,000 pounds. Otherwise, it's actually quite long. But it's still pretty maneuverable, and that's because it has 4-wheel steering. So it can turn the rear wheels in the opposite direction of the front wheels to shrink its turn radius. So this thing actually has a tighter turn radius than a Ford Mach-E, which is significantly shorter than this vehicle. In addition, it can actually turn all 4 wheels in the same direction and move diagonally, which is helpful off-road, and that is called crab walk. Now, that's not the only impressive stat about this vehicle. How about this? It can scale an 18-inch vertical surface in front of it. It has 13 inches of suspension travel, and General Motors says it can climb a 60% grade. Those are absolutely insane numbers that even a G-Wagon would gawk at. If you're not feeling quite outdoorsy enough just yet, watch this. There are some handles on the inside here. You pull these handles, you flick them to the side, and then watch this, you push up. How about a removable roof? Pretty cool, huh? Hot, 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 hot. The things I do for you, YouTube. Oh, there we go. Of course, the GMC Hummer EV SUV isn't all about pure power. It also has quite a bit of style. Look at those 22-inch aluminum wheels paired with this moonshot matte green paint. I think it looks absolutely stunning. Right here, you have this wonderful little step up to get into this absurdly tall vehicle and a tasteful American flag applied back between the rear windows. Now, if the Hummer EV SUV is not extreme enough for you, you can get the extreme off-road package. That's going to give you 18-inch wheels, 35-inch tires, rock sliders, underbody armor. In addition, it's going to give you a real nifty camera system to let you see what's under the vehicle as you go off-roading. In addition, you will get virtual e-lockers. What's that? Well, it's like a differential, a locking front and rear differential, but remember that there's no physical connection, right? There are motors powering these tires, so you have to do it all electronically rather than having a physical differential. Before getting into the rear of the Hummer EV, I do want to note this vehicle is rated to tow 7,500 pounds. That will probably annihilate your range, but it's good to know that you can do that. We do have a rear view camera sticking here out of the full-size spare tire. That's something we see in Jeep and Bronco and similar brands. Now, if we push this button, you will see a power swinging tailgate. Yes, this swings open, and this little piece of glass right here will fold all the way down. So you take the roof off, you roll this piece of glass down, you're gonna have yourself a real open air experience. Right here, you see about 35 cubic feet of space. Put those seats down, you're gonna have about 81 cubic feet of space. Now, something that's kind of disappointing, you can't really reach those seats right there, and to put them down, you know, you can push this little button which folds them down, but they only fold down kind of halfway, and to get them to come back up, you have to go do it manually. For over $100,000, I would like to see full mechanization there. 11,500 pounds. That's how much torque General Motors says this thing has. That's not entirely true. You see, usually when you see a torque measurement, that's the amount of torque at the shaft. General Motors, when they say this car is 11,500 pounds for torque, they're talking about how much torque there is at the wheel. Now, some very smart people have done the calculation on how much crankshaft torque this thing actually probably has. Realistically, it's probably like 800 to 900 pound-feet, which is very impressive and very good. That 11,500 pound-feet of torque, though, just know that that's not how torque is normally measured. In terms of horsepower, the GMC Hummer EV SUV has 830 horsepower coming from 3 electric motors, 2 at the rear, 1 at the front, and they're going to propel this vehicle from 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, 9,000 pounds, 3.5 seconds. Absolutely crazy numbers right there. Very cool vehicle. It's built on GM's Ultium platform, which is the same platform used in other electrified General Motors vehicles like the Chevy Silverado EV. Now, that Ultium battery pack, that's about 20 battery cells that make up that pack, and they're double stacked. So real dense battery pack in this vehicle. It's gonna give you about 300 miles of range in this first edition. In terms of charging, at level 2, getting from 20 to 100%, General Motors says will take 16.5 hours. Now, if you use a DC fast charger, you're gonna get 100 miles of range every 12 minutes. Pretty impressive numbers there. Now, when talking powertrain, of course, we have to talk about Super Cruise. This is a Super Cruise equipped vehicle, which is General Motors' hands-free autonomous driving system. There's about 200,000 miles of pre-scanned North American road that the system works on. When you're on the road, you hit that Super Cruise button, you can remove your hands from the wheel, and this vehicle will engage in hands-free driving. Super Cruise comes included for the first 3 years of vehicle ownership. After that, you'll be paying $25 a month for a Super Cruise subscription. If you're liking the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more YouTube automotive content. All right, folks, let's get back into it. Welcome to the interior of the GMC Hummer SUV. It is absolutely wild in here. GM consulted the same team that helped design the Marvel Cinematic Universe to create the interior of this vehicle, and you can absolutely tell. I'd say tactility is the word I would use to describe this vehicle. Everything outside and inside is very heavily textured, lots of ridges and rough angles. I really like the space age design of this vehicle. Really appreciate the creativity they put into it. Some of the material choices could have been a bit better. I don't feel like I'm in a $100,000 vehicle here, especially up here. This is just all plastic everywhere, hard plastic, but it does look real sharp. Now, of course, we have to talk about seats. I'm sitting kind of funky right now because it is an extremely hot day and the seat's super hot, but it is heated and cooled, and we have memory function. You have 12-way power adjustment, and we have a power tilt and telescopic steering wheel. I actually really like this steering wheel. It's the first GM truck steering wheel. It doesn't feel as terrible. It still doesn't feel great, but I don't know why GM can't make a truck steering wheel right. Make it thicker, use better quality leather. This is a step in the right direction compared to Silverado and such, but it's still just not great. One cool piece of tech here in the Hummer EV SUV, how about the connectivity with your phone? Using the GMC app, of course, you can control the vehicle in all sorts of traditional ways that most vehicles do now with lock and unlock, start, remote start, whatever. But this vehicle lets you upload trails from your phone, and you can upload trail maps right into the infotainment system right here, and the vehicle will use community collected data to try to understand what the energy usage will be on that trail. That is a real neat feature. Sitting in the rear here, there is plenty of space, a lot of light coming in here from that glass removable roof up there. The frameless doors are also a nice kind of touch that I haven't hinted about yet. In the middle here, we have plenty of amenities. We have heated outboard seats. A lot of vehicles over 60K now are starting to offer cooled rear seats as well. That could be a cool little addition here. Very wide seating space, no humps since we have the electric powertrain, so you can fit 3 large people back here just fine. We have air conditioning vents back here. I'd throw an absolute hissy fit if those weren't there, but apparently automakers have recently decided they can stop putting vents in the rear of $70,000 cars, not naming anyone specifically. Now we have a USB-C and a USB-A port back here, keep you charged up, along with a full-size household outlet, as well as the sturdiest air conditioning knobs I have ever felt. Good job, General Motors, on that. Let's talk about your infotainment system here. As you can see, a very clean design. This is a reskin of the usual General Motors affair that we have, which is not a bad thing. We have this little panel here on the right so you can have an auxiliary view to see what's going on with your vehicle. We'll find these same off-road kind of options here, and these auxiliary ports which allow you to connect just about any off-road functions that you would like from an aftermarket provider. We do have Google built in here. So if I go to our maps, you'll see it's just Google Maps. It's not some third party or weird automaker map. This is the normal Google Maps that you are probably very familiar with. And with that, you get the performance benefits that Google brings that automakers just don't always have the expertise in. This vehicle does have the Google Assistant, so you can ask it all sorts of questions. Of course, you can connect your phone for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. You can go through this menu to connect a trailer and go through your trailer checklist. But my favorite part of this infotainment system is the off-road menu here. You can see if I click here, we'll get some off-road gauges. So down here we have all of our auxiliary functions. So if you plug in a light bar or something, you can connect it to one of these auxiliary switches and boom, it's a nice clean way to activate that without some funky third-party switch in here. Then we have our G-force meter, suspension, travel, pitch and roll there, and this little reset button here will let you reset the extreme measure. So it'll record how far you go in each direction. Real cool system here, returning back to the home, nice and clean for everyday use. The Hummer does have multiple drive modes, and you just gotta see these animations that they have made. So we have tow haul, our normal mode. My mode is a mode that you can customize. But you know what's I just want to show off here is all of the different cool animations. The space theme is really cool. Your gauge cluster here is a pretty simple setup, not too much going on. We just have our charge and speed are probably the two most important things. I will say the amount of beeping this vehicle does is astonishing. What is also astonishing is the thickness of these screen bezels. Not really sure what's going on there. Not too futuristic looking, but again, I like the design of this screen in terms of the actual UI design. It's very futuristic and cool. And this right here is our Super Cruise sensor. So when you activate the hands-free driving system on this vehicle, this is going to be watching your eyes and making sure you're paying attention to the road. The Hummer EV SUV is a very cool vehicle. It still seems like a prototype in many of its design functions. The only problem is it still feels like a prototype in terms of some of the material choices they made. I wish they picked much nicer materials for this vehicle. The fact that it's over $100,000 means yes, a bit more attention needs to be given to the interior. I know that people will probably say, well, this is easier cleaned. First of all, how many of these vehicles do you really think are going off-road? Second of all, there are plenty of nice feeling materials that can be easily cleaned. I'm thinking right now to a lot of the materials Jeep uses in their vehicles. They market as easy to clean, but they also feel a lot nicer and they're in vehicles half the price. General Motors, your tactile feel department has always needed work. It especially needs work now when you're making cars as cool as this, because other than that, this is such a cool vehicle. And yeah, I do recommend you go and check it out because the material and tactile thing doesn't bother you. I think you're gonna have a lot of fun with this vehicle. I look forward to getting out and driving it soon. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure to like and subscribe. Guys, thanks so much for watching this first look here at the GMC Hummer EV SUV. We'll see you in next week's video. Take care.